NNRG.
Well, I think I have a vague idea of how this is going to go. So, the game for today is Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. Not Where in the World, that was the first one. Where in Time was the sequel. So, let's get this one started. We got several disk files here. Start with the first one here. It's gone to a black screen. And where are we going to go from here? I mean, I say that pretending like I don't know, but because I always test things ahead of time just for a brief amount of time, just to make sure things are working. And with this game in particular, we're going to see in a moment that we're just right into it. There was like no cracking group loader or anything. Like, there we go. We got our title. We got our theme music even. Like, this kind of doesn't surprise me though, because I've covered Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on Ancient DOS games, and in that particular version of the game, I pointed out that the copy protection doesn't come into play until you've cleared your first case. So, unless you know that, you're gonna boot the game maybe thinking there is no copy protection. So maybe that's what's happened here. Maybe this is a totally not cracked version of the game, and once we've completed our first case, we're going to be kicked out. Like, it's not impossible. Okay, so let's get started. Do we push the joystick button? That does it. So you got a view of the city here. Now, one thing I should point out too is that my indicator lights for what the program is doing, it says somewhere in San Francisco here, the disk light does this weird rapid flashing that it's almost like it's sort of streaming loading, sort of. I don't know. Anyways, we got our directory here. So we got Hall of Fame, Lounge, Lab, Personnel, Lobby, and Basement. So I'm going to guess... Oh, can't move the cursor? Or the joystick button works. I guess maybe that's the only thing we're allowed to select on the screen right now, so that's why I couldn't move the cursor. But yeah, my guess is that we're probably going to have to register with personnel, just based on... Because I've never played Where in Time, but I've played Where in the World. So, my guess is we register with personnel, and then they give us our case, and then we go to the different floors, and then we have to figure out, like, how to get started with everything. I don't think it's going to be too complicated. The only catch... is that Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Okay, it's got our thing here. I think personnel was the second floor. Like, the only catch is that Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego gives you an almanac so that you can look up the details you need to know. Well, I'm guessing Where in Time did that too, but we don't have that almanac. So we're gonna have to hope Wikipedia can help us out here. But in any case, we can either choose the authorized personnel or the personnel department. I guess we gotta go to the personnel department first. Let's see what that does. Okay, I got a person here. Hi, I'm Diane, the head of personnel here at Acme. I'm sure you'll find your assignments here exciting, interesting, and very dangerous. Okay, can't move the cursor, so this is our standard release form. Please enter your name and press return to enter the data. Acme Detective Agency Liability Release Form. Hereby... Okay, we gotta put our name in first. Oh, it's actually case sensitive? Okay, you don't see that very often with Commodore 64 games. Whoa, wait a minute. Okay, I want you all to notice... This didn't click with me until just now. And this is actually a little crazy. Okay, this is a Commodore 64 game, right? The Commodore 64 screen is, in and of itself, like... The Commodore 64 has various different screen modes. And normally, in a Commodore 64 screen modes, you have, like, a character map in the background. It's 40 characters wide and 25 characters tall, just like in DOS. So, normally you would have fixed width fonts. But this font... Like, if I put in all M's, you can see they go that far. But if I put in all lowercase i's, And then I looked at the rest of the text. This is a variable width font on a Commodore 64 game. That is incredibly rare. Now, the drawback, from what I understand, in terms of being able to do something like this with the fonts, means that we're running in a bit-mapped graphics mode, which means you can't really do much in terms of, like, performance things. But then, this is a game that doesn't need that. Like, I mean, you think back to Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, what kind of action sequences did you have there, really? Like, I mean, you had these little animations show up, but they were hardly anything. So, you could probably get away with that as a result of this. Or maybe this is only for, like, these particular sections here, and once we get to later parts of the program, this variable width stuff is going to go away, but whatever. Anyways, Acme Detective Agency Liability Release Form. Gemini hereby releases the Acme Detective Agency from all liability associated with the pursuit and capture of dangerous criminals, no matter what might happen. Now, I see a few flaws with this because we're going to be doing time travel, but whatever. Let's hit return. Let's get to it. I hope you enjoy your job here at Acme. We're glad to have you with us. Check in with Agent Brassy down the hall. She'll fill you in on your first case. Have a nice day. Okay, so now that we're registered... Oh, we're just already doing this. Okay. Hi, I'm Agent Brassy. Diane told me you were starting today. I hope your first case isn't too dangerous. Here's your portable chrono skimmer. Time cadet. Oh, we're a time cadet. Just immediately, just sign a little paperwork and we're a time cadet. Okay, so we got our initial screen here. We're in San Francisco with our 32.5i chrono skimmer. We got time leap, clue, data, and abort. And apparently we have time left? What? How could there be a time limit for a time travel game? Okay, we've just intercepted a Time Patrol Crime Alert, or a TPCA, coming from the chief. So continue, insert side B and press return. That's the alert? The alert! Please change the disk side for your chrono skimmer. Okay, I've changed the disk side, press return. Hope it's the right one, because there's 3 disk images, and I don't know which is which. Okay, that seemed to work. Timesweep has revealed that the Great Astronomical Clock has been stolen from China, 900. So is that like 900 AD, I'm guessing? So continue. An unidentified man was seen leaving the scene of the crime. Okay, so we know it's male. Federal Time Travel Commission has authorized 40 hours of use of the Acme Chrono Skimmer for apprehending this criminal. But it's time travel! Why do we have a time limit on time travel? Okay, let's just think about this for a second here. It's saying here that it's authorized 40 hours of use of the Acme Chrono Skimmer. Couldn't you have just made it a wattage? Like, couldn't you have made it a limit on the amount of watts we're allowed to use? That would make more sense, would still be the exact same mechanic. Like, who thought this up? I'm sorry, I'm cracking up at this. I don't know why they find this so hilarious, but I do. And it's... Okay. Let's try to calm down here. Let's get back to it. Let's just accept the fact that we've got a time limit for time travel. As ridiculous as that is. Okay, so continue. So, let's get into it. Okay, warp sequence activated. Well, I guess we're just going straight to 900 AD. So, launching Chrono Skimmer. And we're going to China, I believe it was. And the screen shakes a little, and here we are. In early China, important discoveries were made in astronomy, mathematics, and engineering. The magnetic compass was invented, and sunspots were first chronicled. Okay then. So, we can select various things along here. We can take a look at our data, I'm guessing. So, oh, this is just like with the crime computer. So we put in the evidence that we have. And then we can compute it to determine who the criminal is. Okay, so already we know that they're male. But if I'm remembering correctly, computing takes time in Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And the idea is you don't want to hit the compute button until you have at least a couple or 3 of these filled in, preferably 3 of them. So we're going to skip on that for now. Let's go to clue. So witness, informant, and scanner. So I guess witness first. So minstrel, he planned to nab King Canute's bathing suit. So looking up information online, the only thing that's really telling me is in terms of the time period this person lived for, which was between 990 and 1035 AD. Now we got a more button here. Had hair the color of a raven, so that would be black. And that's all we have there. So if we go back to data and evidence, we can set the hair to black. Okay. Go back to clue. We got an informant. He was cramming for exams at the New Cambridge University. So, I mean, here's the thing I don't get, is that our initial hint with that King Canute, or Canut, puts the year range between 990 and 1035, but the University of Cambridge, if we consider it new, was founded in 1209. So that doesn't really tell us like when we should be aiming for it is giving us an idea of where. Like, it's because that's the thing. It's not just the time that we have to worry about here. It's also the where. Like, we ended up in China here for the year 900. So, okay, we also have a scanner. If we run the scanner, we're going to get a little line effect there. Object detected. Looks like a map of East Anglia? I'm not actually sure how to pronounce that one. Okay, so I think I have a pretty... It's still kind of rough, but a pretty good idea of where in the world and when. But it is still kind of rough. Like, I'm hoping that when we do the time leap, the locations we can go to... Okay, so it's actually giving us... It's giving us preset time periods and destinations. So we know it's not Mexico. So we know it's England. And our choices are between 400 and 1300, or between 1300 and 1700. It's definite. We had a year range in the 990 to 1035 and 1209. So that puts us in that range. So we'll pick the first England option. We're going to do our time jump. Warp sequence activated or engaged. Okay, so that actually only brought us ahead to 917 in England. So the Magna Carta was signed by England's King John, Latin for Great Charter. It limited royal power and ensured the right to trial by jury. Okay, so let's get some clues. Okay, let's go with a witness first. Oh, so if I'm remembering correctly, if you detect a vile henchman, it means you're on the right track. That doesn't mean you found them. Yeah, it just said that right there. You must be on the right track. Okay, so he wanted to set up a retraining program for unemployed samurai. Interesting. So that's going to put us in Japan then. And it says here he was brown-eyed. So I think that might give us enough information to determine who this is. Okay, so let's see here. So eyes. Not blue, we got brown. Okay, so male, black hair, black... I'm speaking badly again. Male with black hair and brown eyes. Compute it. Searching database. Warrant data entered. Please stand by. Warrant issued for the arrest of Gene Yuss. Activating capture robot. What? Okay, we got a little capture robot, I guess. Like, we got the dossiers right here we can look at. And that should show us, yeah, the different people that we're going up against here. So let's go to more. There he is, Genius. So, dehydrated water salesman. What? Dehydrated water would basically just be nothing. Although one thing I'm noticing here, it doesn't give us a picture of Genius, so that's kind of a downgrade compared to the earlier games. Okay, well, we need another clue in order to determine the time period we want to go to. If we actually, hang on, if we go to Time Leap, but we only have one Japan option, and we know it's Japan, because samurais are Japanese, so let's just pick the Japan option. I don't think we have to go do more clues. Okay, so we ended up in 1868 Japan. Under Emperor Meiji, Japan embarked on an era of westernization. After almost 300 years of isolation, Meiji sent fact-finding missions to the West for new ideas. Okay, so let's go find some more clues here. Let's do Witness again. Yep, found another vile henchman. So, is it going to show us the... Okay, what's an... Well, I guess you do have archers in Japan. It's just that didn't look like a Japanese archer. Which, I don't actually know if there's a particular name for people in Japan who have that profession. Like, they usually... I don't know. Anyways, astronomer. You plan to attend a Pablo Casal's concert. Okay, so where is that? Okay, I said where is that, but it's actually where are they? It's actually Pablo Casals is a, what's it say here on Wikipedia? A Spanish cellist, composer, and conductor. And it's also noting here from Puerto Rico. So... let's see what our time leap options are. Oh, it's indicating England, Spain, and the USA. It's probably Spain, because the guy's Spanish, but I think I want a little more information first. Okay, so let's go back to clues. Let's go to informant this time. It's going to investigate the murder of Garcia Lorca. Okay, you know what? This is another Spanish person. So I think we just have to go for it. So let's hit continue, head back down to our time leap, and let's just go to Spain. So one thing I'm noticing here is we choose a time period and a location at the same time. I'm going to guess that later in the game, it's probably going to make it so that, like, this is the early game, so it's probably been simplified down. But if I had to guess, just based on the fact that we're using so little information to determine both the time period and location, that later in the game, maybe it will make it so that we have to choose both the location and the time period. And then the time period is going to have that sort of those ranges to it. So maybe that's how it works. I don't actually know because, again, I've never played this game before. Anyways, we're in 1936 Spain. Spanish art was reborn into the 20th century. The most important painter was Pablo Picasso, who lived in France for most of his life, yet never lost his Spanish identity. Okay, so let's go for the clues. Let's go for the witness. Vile henchman detected, so on the right track. Okay, so we're speaking to a barber here who says he was cooking up a scheme to be the first Buddhist politician. Oh wait, there's more here. He was in jail so long, he was able to read Crime and Punishment. I don't know if that helps us. I mean, it does give us an idea of the time period, sort of. Okay, so I think this is kind of the first gotcha here, because the hint in terms of Crime and Punishment means that it could be 1700 or... it could be from the 1700 up or the 1900 up, because once the book is published, anyone following could still read it. So, given that Buddhism was mentioned, and given that Crime and Punishment came out in the 1800s, but could have been read any time after that, I think, yeah, India in the 1900s is probably our best bet here. So, let's go for that. And see what happens. Go into 1954 India. So let's do our clues. Let's go for witness. Wish I had something to tell you. Wait, was that wrong? Okay, so clearly we went to the wrong place and time in the world, but like, I mean, because that's what's confusing here, is because it was referring to a Buddhist politician. but not necessarily Buddhism in general, which means maybe the Japan choice was the correct one? I mean, it was the only other one it could be because of the mention of crime and punishment. So I guess what we're going to have to do is go back to where we just came from, which that's what you have to do in... That's what you do in Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, is if you make a mistake, you have to go back to where you came from, otherwise you're just going to be totally off track. Yeah, this is the only other one it could be, because crime and punishment didn't exist in the 400 to 1300 range. So, yeah. Okay, so we're back in Japan again, so let's get a clue. Not seeing anyone answering that description. What? Okay, maybe we actually have to run the scanner, because maybe the person we're trying to capture is actually here right now. So, like, object detected. Appears to be an advertisement for vacations with the Ainu? Okay, so based on that, it seems like we need to time leap to the earlier period of Japan. But that almost, based on the other hints we got, that almost seems like that wouldn't be it. But, well, no, wait a minute, because the Buddhist hint could have gone back to that point in time. Because, but then the crime and punishment hint doesn't fit. I don't know, this is weird. Okay, well, we're running out of time to go back in time, so hopefully we're on the right track now. The temple at Horyuji was built in 607 by Prince Shotoku, one of the oldest buildings in the country. It contains a fine collection of Buddhist art. Okay, so I think we're good. Let's run the scanner. Hopefully the guy's here, we can actually pick him up. What's happening? Okay. An area scan indicates dangerous materials are present. Recommend further search be taken. Please stand... Oh, and we're out of time. Sorry, your investigation has taken too long. Your time travel authorization has expired. The chase for Genius will have to be terminated, and this case placed in the unsolved crimes file. Really? Okay, so that was Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, specifically the Commodore 64 version, though I'm going to guess that other versions of the game play pretty similarly, just with more flair, maybe a little more flair. Like, the graphics wouldn't be limited in the same way, but the point is that it plays pretty much just like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, but with the added time travel mechanic thrown in, and thus the time is of something is also important as the place of something. But some of these hints didn't seem like they were landing properly. Like, the crime and punishment hint just totally threw things off, because that, like, I'm looking up the details about it on Wikipedia right now. That was first published in 1866. Like, nowhere near the time period that it was telling us to go to. You know, one thing I vaguely recall, and I mean, like, just very vaguely recall, is that it might be possible to get bogus hints in these games, but I think that's supposed to happen much later. Like, it's not supposed to happen in the early game because you're still starting out. Like, I might be completely wrong about that. I might be, like, totally misremembering that or getting it confused with a different game. Because, like, Covert Action had similar mechanics for looking up clues, and it was a game which could give you clues which led nowhere. So maybe that's what happened here? I don't know. The point is, this game plays just like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, just with those extra elements and the fact that you've got a time limit to time travel, which makes no sense.